Hello, I would like to welcome you all to a new course produced by orhanergun.net or orhanergun.com as well. This course is the Cisco CCNP NRC Enterprise Network Advanced Routing and Services Implementations. This course is the first version of the NRC that was announced in 2019 and produced for the first time officially in February 2020. This one is the 30410 that will be produced, as I told you, from orhanergun.net. My name is Sijad Ghafouri. I'm a senior network instructor from orhanergun.net. I have multiple Cisco certifications as well as Juniper network certifications, including this Cisco NRC. What we will talk about in this course will be the complete certificate or the complete course that should qualify you to pass the Cisco exam of 30410, and also it participates as part of the new CCNP Enterprise. This exam info are actually the code, which is 30410. It's called the NRC for now. Perhaps in 5 or 6 years from now, when this exam becomes obsolete, they would like perhaps at that time they produce an NRC version 2.0, let's say like 30411 or 412. It depends on that time. This one has started from February 24th, 2020, and the exam cost is $300 American. It's a USD, not another different type of currency. The exam can be taken at Pearson VUE, and right now Pearson VUE supports the authorized centers, just like they have been doing for years and years before. The authorized centers, as well as all the Cisco written exams, are starting from April 15, 2020, has been started to be supported on the OnVUE, the Pearson VUE OnVUE solution, and that would be being able to take the exams from home. So this exam can be taken from home. So you can reserve the exam by yourself, register or book the exam by yourself, specify the location to be from home or office, and take the exam using your computer or laptop. It can be done. What are the prerequisites before you are allowed to enter such exam? There are no prerequisites at all. All the new Cisco written exams, and by written I mean the new CCNAs, which are 20301, and the DevNet Associate and the CyberOps Associate, plus all the new 6 types of CCNPs, including all their core exams or concentration exams. Neither of them at all requires any prerequisites before you are allowed to enter the exam. The only prerequisites are like required from now on the new 2020 Cisco certification system is the CCIE lab exam, because you are not allowed to register or book the lab exam before you pass its core exam, or the written one. But neither the lab or the core are our concern in this course, because this is a concentration exam. Once you pass the exam, you will get one single badge, and that will be the Cisco Certified Specialist Enterprise Advanced Infrastructure Implementation, the EAII. This will be the badge that you acquire when you pass the NRC exam. This is what happens. The enrollment it will only enroll you in the Cisco CCNP Enterprise, and in order to achieve the Enterprise after the NRC, you will need to pass the Cisco Enterprise in-core exam, the 350 401, which already has a course on orhanergun.net that will cost you more than 43 up to 45 hours of videos. I'm not talking about cost of money, I'm talking about the duration of videos of that course. It's a very big course actually. When you pass this Cisco CCNP NRC exam, you will recertify any associate level degree you have, like the CCNA 200-301, the certified DevNet Associate, and the certified CyberOps Associate. Any other specialist certification will be certified. Any other concentration exam will be recertified, including the cores, but not the CCNPs. Like you'll have a recertified concentration exam, recertified enterprise core, but your CCNP badge itself will not be recertified. Like the expiration date will not be extended. Then what's the solution? Well, actually, this NRC exam gains you only 40 points on the Network Academy of Cisco, and in order to recertify your let's say CCNP level, whatever, even if it was a CCNP data center or whatever, then you would need 80 points. So 40 points from the NRC can be done, another 40 points from whatever other exam you want. If you take a core exam, then the core exam already gives you 80 points, and a core exam will recertify all your CCNPs. If you have 6 CCNPs, all of them will be recertified, no problem. And by 6 CCNPs, I mean CCNP Enterprise, Data Center, Collaboration, Security, not Cloud, neither wireless. What are the 5th that I am forgetting here? DevNet is the sixth actually, and we will have DevNet, and we will have the fifth which is service provider, of course. Yeah, that was of the hottest certs. So these six still valid running CCNPs from Cisco based on the new 2020 system. Even if you have the six of them, take one single core exam and you will recertify all of them. Taking a concentration exam will recertify specialist degrees only. So the solution, take another specialist exam. Let's say you can take the already available on our website, the Enterprise SD-WAN implementation. This one can be done, the ENSD WI, as I remember. Yes, that should be the code for it. And take the Enterprise Auto, which might be at the time you are watching the videos already available on our website. Take the core. It's already available on the website, and it's a good course. You can see the free samples of it and know how professional is that. It's up to you. This exam expires after 3 years, and when you pass it, you will acquire the NRC exam or the EAII badge. That expires after 3 years, of course, as well as recertifying whatever specialist, concentration, associate degrees to another new 3 years as well. So these should be the exam info. The other slide will talk about that enrollment, because what I mentioned right now is that today we are talking about this NRC exam that participates as part of 6 concentration exams. All of them are related to the CCNP enterprise domain. You, no matter how many of these you take, let's assume that you take all the 6 of them together at the same year or whatever you want to do it like a Superman, you will not get a CCNP enterprise. You need the core plus at least one single concentration. So the NRC that we are taking today plus the core that is already available will gain you a CCNP if you do not have any CCNP at all and you wish to take the CCNP enterprise, like an example. Plus also, if you'd like to take the core, if you already have the core, then you can take the NRC, become a CCNP. Don't take the NRC, take the SD-WAN implementation. We have a course for that. You will become certified. Both of the ENSLD is being recorded at the time you are watching the video. Perhaps it's already available, as well as EN Auto, as well as the wireless design implementation. So all the 6 exams have 6 courses on orhanergon.net. Some of them are officially published by the time this course is being recorded. Other might be published before you even watch the video. But make sure at the end that you will find all the 7 courses available. So you will think, you will study, you will look for some research, and then you will decide, I wish to take the core plus another one to become CCNP. And guess what? All of them are available on orhanergon.net. That is the idea. Okay. So what I need from you, just before you start such course, which level of knowledge is actually required from a candidate or an engineer before he can really understand the topics and keep walk through with me, so that they will make the best of this course. I will need any old or new associate level of knowledge. I don't need you to be certified in any of these, in any one of these, none of them. I don't need a certificate for you to start studying this course. I need you to have the level of knowledge, an old CCNA, because in either of these CCNAs you understand subnetting, network fundamentals, IPv4 and IPv6, important for all of them. It's being mentioned. The concept of routing, important as well, because this course is all about routing. A little bit of security, because there will be some security in this course, so I will need that, and that's it. If you have the core, then you are more than ready. If you have CompTIA Plus, it should be enough as well, because this thing is almost like an old CCNA, and it still gives you the benefits before you start. It will give you like the level of knowledge enough before you start. So any of these, any equivalent or higher degree like equivalent to these, no problem, you can start today. Start what? Start this course that will be produced to anyone watching using the methodology of the videos that you are seeing, the slides that are in place, that are, let's say, introduced to you right now on the screen. Plus, you will have a copy of them as PDF to download, perhaps print on paper. Why? To avoid wasting your time pausing the video so much times while you are watching it or listening, just to write down some obvious headlines, because in these slides you will see the obvious headlines are already there. Some important tips for you to pass the exam, or to like some skills for real life networking are written there in these slides. So important stuff are there. You will need to pause the video only when your brain tells you, or your brain, not brains actually, we have only one as humans, when your brain tells you that Wait a minute, that rang a good bell. Let me record that down. So you will need to pause the video less times when you have the slides written, let's say printed on paper or on your tablet. Perhaps you are using a tablet with a touch screen, a pen, and you would like to record it there. No problem, better than a paper. Okay, save the environment. On screen scratches, I can see that I have proved that concept so far for the previous 10 minutes. Hands-on labs, of course, we will do hands-on labs, and we will have to use a topology that looks like this beautiful topology, this professional one, throughout this course. So this topology might, let's say, save us for the first perhaps 4 modules or all the way, and I have designed that to survive with us until the very last video of this course, because this course is all about implementation and hands-on labs and troubleshooting. So this is much more hands-on labs topics compared to the in-core or to the CCNA. A lot of hands-on labs, actually. It does have some small points, like few points saying describe, interpret, mention, or something. So I will talk about things without labbing it, but mostly it will always be labbing and troubleshooting. So we will need to understand some troubleshooting skills. I'm sorry for that. Let me go back to the slide. Yeah, better. What is the difference between a configure and a troubleshoot? In troubleshoot, what do I need to, let's say, do a trouble on purpose? No, troubleshooting actually based on Cisco agenda means you need to learn the skills and the correct commands when you are troubleshooting something. Which commands do you should use to display? And when you show a command, when you do a command of show something, what are the things in the results that your eyes should see, notice, and from that they should know how to troubleshoot correctly? And these are the troubleshooting skills. Okay, when I mentioned hands-on labs, how can we use hands-on labs? Well, either by using EVE-NG, and the topology that I just showed you is actually completely EVE-NG stuff, so you can see it's EVE-NG if you have an experience with that. If you do not, the upcoming video is all about EVE-NG. We can use Cisco modeling labs as well, and these are new free solutions from Cisco. But let's say they are limited by reservation time, so you cannot always have them for yourself, because you can take them for a couple of hours, make use of them, say thank you, and you will close the lab and it will be taken from you. You will need to wait till next day perhaps before you are allowed to take that again. So this is not always yours, but it will do some good stuff for a good amount of time. And the third option is a new option that we have recently released in 2021 from Orhanaergon. We now officially have our rack rentals, let's say, services, and this can be achieved by typing the link of rackrentals.orhanaergon.net. There you will be able to create a free account, and then you will activate your account, and then you will decide which rack to rental. Like, let's say a rack with only 20 cores of CPU, 64 gigabytes of RAM. So this will only be like your server under your services. This will not be rent for 2 hours or 3 hours or a maximum of 5 hours like the Cisco modeling labs. This will be, let's say, a minimum of a month up to multiple months. So for months, this will be your server, available 24/7 for your access. Connect via VPN, log in via the credentials, and you are more than welcome to do that over the cloud. You can do it in that way. And there are many options available actually by the time of recording this video. And every single option, let's say you decided to reserve the CCIE's Enterprise Infrastructure Lab. So you will get a server that can run all the CCIE topics with all the specifications required, plus all the workbooks for a CCIE. So you will have a really high quality detailed workbooks that will teach you, and it will show you, and it will explain to you every single topic explained or technology that has been implemented on that lab, and how, why, in which scenario, with the commands, why every command was written, etc. The goal, the achievement, and so many other options. And by the way, the next 2 videos will be 2 videos for EVE-NG, and the third video will be for the Cisco modeling labs. Regarding the rack rentals, when the video of the rack rentals is available, perhaps by the time you are watching this video, it's already available. The video of the rack rentals, a short tutorial just to show you, let's say, travel through the main steps of creating the account, receiving, registering, purchasing, until you get your VPN credentials, log in via that, connect via VPN, and log in officially to your rack remotely. All of that will be shown by a short tutorial that will be available on that website, rackrentals.orhanergun.net. The course content is actually built on something that I will need to show you from the website of cisco.com. That would be actually better to do it in that way. And let me just go right now, and in google.com I will type Cisco NRC 300-410, and my first option was the NRC website, and I would like to show it to you. That should looks like that. In the exam topics, review the exam topics, I would like to tell you that the exam officially actually have only 4 modules. 4 main modules have been designed for these exams, and these modules are the layer 3 technologies, definitely advanced routing, VPN technology for security, infrastructure security for information security, and infrastructure services refers to the IP services. Okay, the layer 3 technologies have inside them advanced routing, advanced EIGRP troubleshooting, OSPF troubleshooting, BGP troubleshooting, and that's it. And that will conclude actually 35% of the exam questions, not 35% of the agenda of the official certification guide or the content of this course. Because if we went to the official book, since it's official, I can show you that, the official NRC book, then what you'll find there will be 72% of that book are all about the first module. 72%. So to be honest, this will not, like, let's say you will spend 72% or 70% of your time for the first module, because this will make you a really professional routing engineer, but in the exam you will face only 35% of the questions from that module. So these percentages here, when you are reviewing like the agenda or something, these are for the exam, not for the course content or the official cert content. The second module will be like VPN. We will have to describe 2 types of MPLS with no config, not in this course. It's in the CCIE enterprise infrastructure, and there you will regret going there, because there will be hours and hours of MPLS, but you will become a ninja in MPLS. Believe me, it's not simple at all, but it starts from zero. The guys there have done something more than genius, both Orhan and Navid, and you will find the results there, believe me. And we'll have to talk about DMVPN technologies, but configure and verify. So we'll configure GRE and MGRE, we'll configure next hop routing protocol, IP security, dynamic neighbor, and spoke to spoke regarding DMVPN. All of these should be configured, but for MPLS, no config. When you go to module 3, we will talk about configuring and troubleshooting AAA, local and radius attackers, so local and remote, and IPv4 access control list, their types, IPv6 traffic filter, URPF as well, and the COP. Some of them are component types between the Core and the NRC, others are not. Cisco deals with you or treats you when you start these courses that every course is your first time. So, but not really. So in most of the times they talk about SNMP and starts from zero. They talk about EIGRP, let's say almost starts from zero, but they never tell you what is the concept of routing. They never tell you what is the concept of switching or addressing or subnetting. By the way, something a little bit logical in this exam: no switching at all. What does that mean? If you really want my opinion, the new levels, the new generations of networks depends on the SDN solutions. In SDN solutions, the underlay requires point-to-point layer 3 connection without switching. The underlay depends on ISIS, IBGP, or OSPF. In that case, the overlay will come with EVPN, VXLAN, Lisp, and other protocols. So there you will find routers and routers. So even for VXLAN, let's say multi-layer switches, so point-to-point things. But the idea is no classic VLANs, no classic spanning tree, no VTP. What are those? Nothing, not there. Actually, not in this exam. You will find it like it was part of a single module out of 6 modules in the in-core agenda, and that is the only switching part available in the entire 7 exams of the CCNP Enterprise. So switching is almost obsolete, but still that small part. This exam has no architecture compared to the in-core, has no virtualization, has no switching, has no automation, and no wireless. All of these 5 are not available. So what's left? Routing and security. If you have studied our in-core exam on this website, then you'll find there are actually 7 modules there of the same 7 modules that I just mentioned. So 5 of them are not available anymore, only routing and security that is available on this course. But actually, since this course, the first module, let's say conclude or represent 70% or more than 70% of the agenda, then we will not keep it one single module in our course, because you will get bored. You will feel like this module, just the first module, is taking forever, like taking 4 hours of mathematics in college. Too much, right? Believe me, it's too much. Okay, so what I have done simply, or what we have done on the website, we have redistributed the modules to become 6 modules instead of 4. The first module was redivided into 3 modules. Every module will have its own topics plus some advanced topics taken from the agenda themselves. The result was 6 modules. So module number 1, called the distance vector, and it's talking about that advanced distance vector protocol that we have, because worldwide and nowadays, based on the 2021 technologies and 2020 technologies, the distance vector protocols that we have are EIGRP. So it's an is, not an are, because RIP, believe me, is obsolete, and Cisco have officially removed RIP from their new CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE. It was there all the time in the old versions. Now it has been officially removed from all the levels, so the new generation of engineers might grow up for years and years and study so many certificates and pass their CCIEs without hearing about the routing information protocol. It's out. So the distance vector represents EIGRP from now on for this course. So you'll have 10 topics about EIGRP, the modes, the classic that we have seen in the in-core and the CCNA. We will see the named one and the differences between them. Troubleshoot if one router having the classic, the other is having the named. What will happen? So many stuffs. Address families, and when we enable address families on classic plus enabling address families on the named, differences when we enable these two. Neighbor relationship is important, plus the authentication between 2 neighbors. Administrative distance, which is 90 for the external, will be 170. Why, how often, at which cases actually. The metric, which is the distance formula. So much off topic about that, and perhaps wide metrics at that time. Reported distance, feasible condition, that talks about the feasible distance, the successor path, the backup feasible successor path, stuck inactive, just in case it was stuck inactive. Unfortunately, we'll have to talk about that. Your loop free mechanism, which is the split horizon. So let's talk about these, and then split horizon and how does that work based on the feasible distance and reported distance as well. Load balancing, because by default all of the protocols, let's say, supports equal cost load balancing. EIGRP supports unequal cost load balancing with some prerequisites, not by default. So route summarization, finally, with stubs over the WAN. All of these stuff, we will need to talk about them, and that will conclude module 1. A lot, huh? Not something like to be taken into 3 or even not even in 10 videos. Okay, link state, and it represents either OSPF or ISIS. Based on our agenda, we have only OSPF in the CCNP level. In all of the CCNP courses, only OSPF. ISIS is in the CCIE and in the service provider CCNP, as I remember. Troubleshoot OSPF version 2 and version 3 for IPv6. Of course, address families for both of them, because we are talking about version 2 and version 3. Neighbor relationship and authentication, same thing. Network types, like a point-to-point network. Let's say a multi-point network, a broadcast, and an NBMA network. Area types, like a backbone area, a normal area, life is more than happy, and then things become transit, stub, not so stubby, and totally stub. It can be done in that way. Router types, let's say like an internal router and intra routes, etc., and we will check the LSAs at that time. A backbone router, what does it see? The database there. ABRs and ASBRs, because based on our topology that we have designed, we have some nice ABRs that are connecting an area 0 to area whatever, and this is called an ABR. Sometimes we have an OSPF running area, or let's say when we change the config here to be migrated from OSPF to BGP, this will cause the connection between these two guys to be, let's say, an ASBR, because this guy at the border is now connected to a BGP config, and now it's behaving as an OSPF config in the blue region. This will make it an ASBR. So we will see the differences at that time. What should we do? What prerequisites are config? Yeah, after that, the virtual link. Why? Because simply when I see that there is no connection between area 2 and area 0, what does that leave? That leave area 2 to be hopeless and only wish for area 1 to help it to be able to reach area 0. At that time, we will use virtual link. I don't want to screw the hot scenario of this movie for you. Actually, I will show you everything. Path preference, administrative distance, redistribution with other protocols, perhaps with EIGRP as well. Route summarization is important, let's say, as well as route filtering at that time. PBR is important here, plus VRF Lite. These will be very nice, and you will feel yourself very professional when you finish them. But of course, we will need to finish all the essentials that we must know of OSPF. This will be the second module. So just imagine that both of these were in one single module, then that would be forever, plus the path vector. So far we have one single path vector, really one single path vector protocol, and that is the BGP. So we will troubleshoot and configure and verify both IBGP, eBGP for their address families, neighbor relationship and authentication, same thing with all of these stuff, 4-byte AS, and later it was developed, and so much of info, synchronization, peer groups, state and timers, so much, believe me. Path preference, like attributes and best path, so that would be, let's say, for eBGP, multi-homed, we'll look at that time, an RR, route reflector, with all the conditions, policies for both the inbound and the outbound. Troubleshoot the administrative distance, same thing. Route map again, not again, actually, this is the first time, because in OSPF we had, it was policy-based routing, PBR. Here we'll talk about route map. Loop prevention mechanism for both IBG and BGP, important, and we will talk, let's say, about full mesh of IBGP as well at that time. I believe this is a little bit far. Redistribution, and let's see, perhaps with OSPF, and route summarization. So we will talk about redistribution and summarization in almost all of the protocols, and that concludes the third module. So if we stuck with the agenda again, then all of these will be one single module, and then suddenly, and all of them have nothing called describe, nothing called describe. Troubleshoot all of these, configure those, troubleshoot all of these. So have mercy, no describe. But then we go to a very small module, and the first half of it is describe stuff, and then configure one single topology that has all of these scenarios inside it and verify them. So are you convinced that all of the three previous modules should be in one single module that takes from you more than a month to complete, and then you come to complete this module in less than a week? So we divided that to 3 modules. This will be better to reduce getting bored. Module 5 will be the infrastructure security. This one is very important. The iOS AAA. Access control list, nice to have that again. IPv6 traffic filter, that was extremely important because we have studied IPv6 on EIGRP, OSPF, and BGP in the previous videos, in the previous modules, so we will need to know that as well. URPF would be nice, and that would be troubleshoot, so we will configure URPF. We will need to configure and troubleshoot COP. Let's say someone's trying to do any of these services to our control plane. Let's see how we can capture and deny that at that time. Let's see. Finally, it will be described the IPv6 first hop security features, like the router association guard, the HCP guard, binding table, ND inspection, snooping, and source guard. All of these are security features, but they are not switching security. This is IPv6. IPv6 is only for routers, not even multi-layer switches, so these are router stuff. The final module will be talking about console connection, V2I, remote connection, remote transportation can be done. SNMP, of course, for version 2C, almost obsolete but still active, and version 3 when we will do authentication and encryption, both of them. Let's see at that time how we can troubleshoot that. Of course, syslog and debugs and those stuffs that we have done in the assurance module of the Encore. We will do them again here on different topology. IPv4 and IPv6 DHCP, nice. DHCP, I'm missing DHCP since the CCNA days. Let's say IPSLA, lovely, professional thing. NetFlow for both the last living image versions of V5 and 6, as well V9 as well, so that would be good. I troubleshoot network problems using the DNA assurance pillar. We had 4 pillars in the DNA center, and we still have 4 pillars in the DNA center. One of them is called the assurance. So let's see how we can troubleshoot connectivity, monitoring, health, device health and network health at that time. In these 13 minutes, I hope that I have made clear which type of courses will that be, how professional will it be. Troubleshoot all the way. It's just saying troubleshoot in a very boring way all the way. So module 4 will be like the easiest and the shortest. No troubleshoot, a little bit of talking, a little bit of configuring and verifying, and then we will take our bags and go home. We can do that, but all the other modules require troubleshooting. Troubleshooting will not be professionally accomplished without Wireshark and the proper tools for a proper job. So what we would need, Wireshark. How? Well, in the upcoming video, when you watch the EVE-NG installation, make sure that you will download and install the client pack drivers that are available for free on the EVE-NG website. I will show you these in the upcoming videos, and you'll see them. Make sure that you will download and install that client pack alongside with the EVE-NG if you're about to use the EVE-NG, so that you will make use of the Wireshark, because we will troubleshoot so many things, packets, deep packet inspection, etc. by using the Wireshark. I hope that this introduction was clear for you, informative, made you excited to continue with this course. Perhaps if you haven't subscribed the course yet or purchased for that course, then you will find another free samples below this video. Some samples from the first module, second, third, or even the last module. Sometimes they are a single hour, sometimes they are up to 5 or 6 hours of free samples. Can be done, no problem. See whatever is available, check what we are doing, check how we are expressing the theory, interpreting the theory part, and labbing the practical part. Thanks again for watching the video, and let's start installing and preparing the virtual environment or the lab environment starting from the upcoming video. Thank you.